Welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. Welcome to our transformation series, Mind, Body, and Spirit. And today we have for you a topic that we've been discussing. We're going to look at the aspects of questioning how is it that we are still experiencing trauma? What is trauma? And looking at anxiety as it relates to trauma. So we're looking at whole body wealth and health. And so we're looking at surviving anxiety and trauma. We're going to add our website to this, which is wrc-houston.com, so that you will be able to go there and get further information. Um, we have with us Dr. Johnson, but I want to bring on Pastor um, Samuel Massey from Real Life Christian Church, who is here. He's our co-host and also our pastor here in Houston that actually looks at how to implement wellness, how to implement belief building here in Houston. So it's Real Life Christian Church, Reverend Dr. Samuel Massey with us this morning. And he's going to bring on and introduce to us someone who will bring more information to the topic of surviving anxiety and trauma, which I get a lot of questions. So if you have questions like, how do I know I have anxiety? What is it like when I have survived trauma? Getting some secrets from the presenter in terms of how to survive trauma, how to deal with anxiety. And then if you have further questions, we here at Psychological Services and the Women's Resource Center would also be able to help you. Pastor Massey has a program out that deals with recovering from a different perspective and looking at hurts, hang-ups, and habits. And so we are now activating all of our programs and looking forward to working with you. So Pastor Massey, can you bring on our guest and tell us a little something about her?
Well, her name is Janice Johnson, and she has been a part of our Celebrate Recovery group, and she's been leading uh, the groups at Real Life. She's actually gone through the program herself.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's a group leader, she's a sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a nutritionist.
Mm-hmm.
By profession, she's a retired nutritionist, and she has a lot of things that she can share about her life and the things that she went through with personally as relates to anxiety and stress and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we have people that have a philosophy and they can quote you information from a textbook, but she
Mm-hmm.
can actually quote you information from her life.
There you go.
And so
Mm-hmm.
we welcome Sister Janice Johnson here today to be with
Yes.
us. And we thank God for having her today.
Yes. So welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mending Threads.
Thank
And
you.
I'm just so glad to not only see you, a familiar face too, but to see you this morning and so that we can, so to speak, pick your brains, find your heart, and see how we can put it together for our wellness and health from nutrition and all of your wisdom. So I just want to say welcome this morning.
Thank
So
you.
I do want to, I'm going to throw it out here, really want to know more about how did you choose um, the whole idea of this particular topic? How did you think that this topic would be important to discuss this morning? I know I have reason, but I want to know what your thoughts are.
Well, again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and to share uh, what I know and what I feel about this topic because it's something that we all can relate to as we go through this journey here. I feel like uh, we as a people should always seek out resources and the resources are available but they're not just going to come knocking at your door. You have to be able to put one foot before the other, and which is one of the reasons I found the Real Life Recovery Center and the resources that were available that discussed the various topics on hurts, habits, and hangups. Sometimes I grew up here in the Houston area. I was raised partially in Third Ward. It's called the Bottom, and there I saw a lot of things that traumatized me. For example, there was in the neighborhood there was always traumatic domestic violence, abuse, gambling. All of those things were as a child that I got to see. How, however, sorry about that. However, I as a child, I think I was ahead of my time because I would observe these things and I just knew that there was a better way. And I found the Lord at an early age. That helped me so much to maneuver through the challenges that I faced on a daily basis. I knew in that area of Third Ward, there was Texas Southern University and there was the University of Houston. And there was also, I think, Houston Community College. But all of those were resources in my area. And as a child, I would see people coming from college, and I said, oh, someday I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to college. I want to do that because that looked like it would fit me and what I
Mhm.
wanted to do as a goal for myself. As a goal for myself, I didn't want to be out there on the streets and just wasting my life away. I felt as a child, and as I grew, I could do these things. I put them in my mind, I put them in my heart, and I also asked God for His guidance and His help. Again, the anxiety was there because I looked at other people and what they were doing, and I just said, I kept doubting myself. I was thinking, I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't have the support. Being in a dysfunctional family and seeing all these things that traumatize me. And when I say them, I don't want to be too dramatic, but these things did occur, like drug abuse and all kinds of physical abuse. But again, I didn't let it get me down. I knew that if I didn't continue to keep my head up and know that God was looking down at me, that I wouldn't have made it this far. I never gave up. When I studied and I saw where the word told us that if you just have the faith the size of a mustard seed, I didn't even know what a mustard seed looked like. So after I left Bible study, I went to the store and I found the mustard seeds, and oh my gosh, is that what he's talking about? A mustard seed? Oh, thank you, Lord. I can do that. I can do that. So I just kept going and going and going, and I finished school. I finished school partially. I have a GED, and from my GED, I was able to enroll in Texas Southern University. And at first, I started out in education, special education, but then I decided to change my major to food and nutrition. And the reason I did so was because there was so much illness in my family. There was diabetes, there was cancer, there was smoking, alcoholism. And I'm like, I'm going to food and nutrition because I want to help somebody. My uncle, he passed away at 45 years old from a heart attack. And
Wow.
the list goes on. And suicide is in my family too. One of our family members at 27 years old committed suicide. So food and nutrition, it helps. It helps. Like you see the commercial that says milk does the body good. Well, the right type of foods in your in your diet on a daily basis is some food and nutrition is something that you could pick up at any time. You don't have to wait and be a certain age. You can start right today eating from the basic foods
So
where
I have a question. I want to know more about, if you could share with our audience. You mentioned that you had this desire, this need to do something was in you. You saw these people. If you
yes.
could share how you used it, how did you know that we all see the stuff around. First, let me go back and say it's wonderful that you grew up in Third Ward. We'll have to get more about that because I grew up in Third Ward. That's probably where I know your face from. So, and I know that people that grow up in certain areas of Houston, they automatically there's something wonderful about the listening to the word, the belief, and merging life with what they see and what they live. So, but I want to know how if you could share with us before we get to the nutritionist part, to begin looking at what brought it to you. Like, was it a significant person? Was it something that you remember seeing? Was it something that you experienced? Because so many people around us are experiencing wonderful things, but have no idea how to appreciate them, recognize them, select them.
Well, it came as it came as in my neighborhood back in the days. People were more unified, I would say, and they looked out for one another. I came from a family of seven, and I'm the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lady in my neighborhood. Her name, I always called her Aunt Katie, and she took a liking to me. Out of all my sisters and brothers, she chose me. She asked my mom, could I go to church with her? And we would ride the bus to church out in Fourth Ward. And
Mm-hmm.
before we got to the church, she would always stop at a corner store and get me not a nutritious meal, but she got me something. She got me some chocolate milk. I will never forget that, in a sweet roll. That was my breakfast. But I enjoyed it because I hadn't had breakfast, and she just took care of me while I was growing up. I could go and sit on her step, and she would invite me into her house, and
Mm-hmm.
she just was just like my family. I mean, a family that I wanted, but I never had because, and Katie, I never heard her curse. I mean, she was just a perfect person to me. What happened was, I mean, when we go to church, I love church because people were singing and they were happy, and you just never saw any fighting or cursing, or everything was like on target. And I really enjoyed going there and being with Aunt Katie and having her looking out for me. And this is where the trauma came in. And Katie got married. She was single when I met her, but she got married, and she got a wonderful husband, and he moved her away to Dallas. Oh my.
Oh, wow. That was a big loss.
Yes, I was so sad. Even after she left, her sister still lived in the neighborhood, and I would go sit on the steps, and I'd be so sad. She said, "Well, Aunt Katie's gone. She's not coming back." And I was like, "Someday Aunt Katie gonna come back." And finally, she came back. She came back one summer when school was out, and she asked my mom, "Could I come to Dallas with her, she and her husband, and some other more of her family members?" And my mom said yes.
She
Oh my
didn't have she didn't
gosh.
have any children.
She had one child. She did have one child, and her husband had one child. But
Right.
at the time, I was her child. I never got to meet them until later on. When she invited me to Dallas, I had the best summer in my life. She bought my school clothing, and she bought me my first bicycle. She and her husband, they bought me my first bicycle. And we had dinner at the table. I mean, just all these nice things that I didn't have in my house, at my house where I live. And
Kind of
Katie,
like kind of like organized and things that you would
yes,
expect, and you felt, I imagine, secure. I'm imagining you when you're talking, that you felt more secure, and you could expect something that's going to come next.
Right,
those kinds
right.
of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that out. I really appreciate her reaching out to me. I will always have a special place for her in my heart. She's long gone to heaven now. She and her husband. I did was able to attend her service, and I just want to say she was a great asset to me. And when I grew up there in Third Ward, because there was a lot of spicy language going on, profanity, and I held it in my heart. I never heard her use profanity. And so to this day, I'm so thankful. I'm not being a narcissist, but I'm just grateful that I met somebody like that. Uh, and when I worked, I got my jobs. Um, I had my family at an early age, and I try to instill these things into them, bringing them up in the church. Of course, good nutrition was very much practiced in our home, and I'm happy to say that my children eat very healthy, and they all pretty healthy too. Thank God. Uh, so let me just go back to Aunt Katie reaching out to me. It did have a great impact on my life, and also being surrounded by those universities. And thankful that I was able to enroll in college. Of course, I don't consider myself a great student, but again, I had to endure. I didn't want to give up. I did stop school a few times and taking care of my children. When I say my children, I have two special need children, hyperactivity and some mental challenges that I had to endure as well. But I just never want to give up. That's my message to people today. Thank God for where you are now and have gratitude because things could be worse, and live for where you are right now. Don't try to reach above the stars, however that saying goes, and fall, because again, if you fall, you can always get up too. When I was in school, I flunked classes and what have you. But I just learned that there were tutors, there were advisors there that were available to help. So I say, like our topic today, surviving and anxiety and trauma. Those things are going to occur in our lives. But again, it's not what happens to you in life, it's how you deal with it. And
They say research that all the studies from NIH and the NIMH, and even the studies that they've done for CDC bears out what you're saying. They're saying that we don't, sometimes there's visible trauma, there's trauma that we see. And I'm going to ask you about some of those, and trauma that we experience. And then there's trauma that's going on all the time by virtue of where we live, where we live, and we have no idea how it's affecting us. When you mentioned third ward and sex and drugs and whatever, and I'll share this experience. So we would on Fridays evenings. Now people go like, when I would tell this at the university where I went to school, they were like, "What, in your neighborhood? What?" And so what we would do is we weren't allowed to go very far after when it got dark. We had to stay within about four houses where those parents could see. So we would sit on the front porch on Friday evenings because we knew that we were going to have a show. We used to call it Alice and Maxie show, and they would have their fight because we had, we didn't know it. Somehow, I don't know how I made it through all that. Those families you didn't see fighting and arguing, but either way, but we saw it on Friday evening because Maxie was going to come in. He was going to be upset. They were going to fight, and they were going to have sex. They were going to do all those things, and we had a front row seat until my mother found out what we were doing. All the children would gather on the front porch, and we would run and get the other one to say, "Alice and Max's show is about ready to begin." We even had nerve enough to get peanuts and popcorn. So
Uh-huh.
the thing is, I'm telling you. So I'm writing a book right now, and I mean, I have that in the book because people don't understand that you either move away from what you see or you move toward what you see, or engage in. So you had to have someone that led you away from a lot of the things
Yeah.
that you saw
Yeah.
and engage you in something that reinforced it. You see? So I was
Yeah.
going to ask Pastor Massey if he could talk a little bit about what you just said. What is it in the program, or what is it in the Bible that talks about the importance for parents, or the importance for us to know and believe? She said, don't give up, or that, you look around for someone to inspire you, or, I think people, it would be important for people to really see that there's some words that support what Dr. Johnson is saying. Mhm.
Well, when we use the Bible, we can go to Matthew 6, the sixth chapter, and looking at the 31st verse, it says, "Therefore, do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For after these things the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you." So when we think about worry, the word suggests a distraction or a preoccupation with things causing anxiety, stress, and pressure. But Jesus speaks against worry and anxiety because of the watchful care of a heavenly Father who is ever mindful of our daily needs. So, when I think about Sister Janice, when she said she went to church a lot with her, I guess you could say her mother, her other mother,
Other mothers.
this
Hmm.
was a way out, a way to get away from what's happening at home and sort of like take a break from all the trauma and the things that she experienced in the house and in the community and in the neighborhood where she lives. That trip to church every Sunday was a way out to just get away from that and relax for a while, and seeing
Hmm.
that there is a way out, and then also being with a person that was actually letting her light shine before her,
Hmm.
where Sister Janice saw her good works and God was getting the glory out of her other mother's life. And so the scripture is always there to support everything that she said, everything that she experienced, allowing her faith in God to
Hmm.
carry her to the next level and not ever give up.
Hmm. Hmm. So that's something there. So it was question. I was looking at. So your mom, your biological mother, your mother, um, really trusted this lady and knew her. You see, and so it was something in this woman, and something that you were learning how to visualize, how to see it in other people, because your mother saw it in her.
Yes.
So do you know what that really was that allowed you to trust her? And I'm asking you because our audience, many times through sessions, say they're confused and they end up in situations because they don't know who to trust, how to trust, or to trust themselves. Mm.
Well, I think my mom saw that, excuse me, Aunt Katie, as I call her, I've never seen her drink either. And in my neighborhood, there was like churches on every corner, but there was also beer joints on every corner. And I never seen Aunt Katie in that situation as I did my own family members and the neighbors. And, like Friday night was the big time in Third Ward because you got to see a lot. As you said, we used to sit on the porch also. I can identify with that. And just watch the pimps go by and the prostitutes and the gambling on the sidewalks and all that. And I never saw Aunt Katie involved in any of that. She was just always to herself, going to church and looking after me. Of all those children in the neighborhood, she picked me. And I'm like, wow, I'm just happy that she picked me because it's like when you live in the bottom, nobody want to be bothered with the little bottom children. They don't know how to act and, they got all kind of behavior problems. So the big
Mm-hmm.
people, what we call the sophisticated third ward silk stocking church going people, they didn't want to be with us. But Aunt Katie took a liking to me, and I appreciate that. So after she moved and I got to visit her and came back home, I was 13, and I asked my mom if I could go live with my grandparents. And they lived in Carverdale. I don't know if you heard of Carverdale.
Yes.
It's
Mm-hmm.
in Cypress Fairbanks, and my people still have a home out there. And it was a small community, and the school was very good. In fact, I went to Carverdale High School, which was one school for everybody. It was the high school, elementary, middle school, all of that was together. The good thing about growing up in Carbondale is everybody lived there. The principal of the school lived on the next street from me. The teachers lived in the neighborhood, and they were respected people, and they looked out for us as well. I learned a lot. In fact, as a student at Carbondale, I was vice president of my student council, and
Mm-hmm.
the student council had a ceremony, and I learned how to waltz. I didn't ever know about that dance called a waltz, but I
Mm-hmm.
did learn that at Carbondale and was given a certificate as the vice, as I served as a vice president of a student council. So I'm proud of the milestones that I made there as well. Uh, Trauma still was there, anxiety still was there, because again, I was being raised by my grandparents, but again, there was a lot of abuse and drinking and smoking and drugging and all that too.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Well,
I
how did you during that time you had a lot of trauma around you, which they call environmental trauma, um, geographical trauma in that area, and then also historical trauma, just by being an African American. Period. But how did you recognize the anxiety that you were experiencing, and how
Well,
did you
I
go?
recognize it because I looked at other people. I was like always observing people, observing them, and how they raised their children, how they lived as a family in my neighborhood. I just paid attention to that, and I could pick out what I wanted to do in my life. I would say, if this family's over here traumatizing one another, having fights on the weekends or every day and smoking, but this family over here, they going to church and they all together. That's the way I want to be as a child. I guess I would daydream because my mom would always tell me I'm stopping and staring because when I see something that I analyzed it, and it helped me to see within that I could do that. I could learn how to make a bed. I could go to college. I don't have to go to the beer joints. I mean, but I get where the hurt comes in. The family thinks that I'm trying to be better than everybody else, and I'm not. I'm only trying to do what's in my best interest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't knock them for what they do. I accept. It's about acceptance. I accept that my parents did the best they could for me. My grandparents. This is my family that I'm in now. I don't know why I had to come to this family like this. However, through all the dysfunction, I know that that I could do something different. I can
Mhm.
do that. I just have it in my mind, in my heart, and here I am by the grace of
My
God.
question, so I was hoping, okay, so you're right on the point right now. So the audience that's listening would be like, well, that's not, I'm having anxiety. My hands are all wet. I'm nervous about life. I'm, I'm, um, I'm sweating and having headaches and those kinds of things. And you telling them all the time, like how you handle it, you know?
How I am. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Go ahead. Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No, ma'am, you didn't. No, ma'am, I'm
Okay.
listening to you.
So again, my knowing that exercise is good. I've taken yoga classes. I've taken karate classes. I've been in water aerobics. I know how to bowl. I can ride my bike. I know how to jump rope. I can hula hoop. These are things that help me. And
Mm-hmm.
then again, I can be around positive people. Even though there's a lot of negativity, oh, I know how to find some positivity. If I don't find it in others, I can certainly find it in myself. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, what I learned growing up with trauma is you have to be good to yourself. Just
Mm-hmm.
like I'm talking to the audience, I can talk to myself too. When a bad thought comes, I can say, oh, nope, not today. I'm not going to deal with that. Not like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. I can't deny where I came from and what I went through. But again, it's how you going to deal with it. I'm 69 years old. I'm going to be with myself. I've been with myself for 69 years. So I need to look inside and see what I'm about. How can I, like I help others? My gift is a help from the Lord. I have to help myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I help myself. I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind taking a vacation. I don't mind going to a restaurant or having a meal, and I don't have to have a surrounding crowd with me. I can take it upon myself, and I don't mind fixing my hair and making my appearance like Aunt Katie. I always saw her appearance; she always looked like a lady, and I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I have two sons and two daughters. I want my daughters to look like ladies, and I want my sons to look like men, not vice versa. And I'm not
Right.
picking on anybody. That's just what I like for my family.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like that you did a lot of integrating a lot of, and I like what you're saying about, because some people think that when they have anxiety, they don't know what to do. They end up being like pacing and being frantic, and like Pastor Master was saying, engage in worry and repetitive thoughts and things like that, instead of allowing what they picking out some of the things that they see that helps them move, would help us move
Right,
toward something else, something away from being into that fear or that frustration or that moment. So those things that you mentioned were really good. I wished I could hula hoop. I tried. I used to know how to hula hoop, but but they say if you can hula hoop, hula hooping keeps you. They even have churches now that are hula hooping, which I think is great
yeah,
because it's a mindfulness.
yeah,
So they used to do prayer and Bible study, and then you would hula hoop and meditate, and they would have music on. And the reason is to hula hoop, you have to be in that moment.
that's right.
Not ahead, not behind. Right now in the present. Jumping rope is the same.
Yeah,
You see. hmm So you were
no,
doing some really good, mindful kinds of things for the heart. So I want to know a little bit more about your study. In your recovery study, in your Bible study, and how your nutrition, how that fits into. I just want you to share. I do have some ideas since we're involved in a lot of that, that
yeah,
people don't even realize that food is medicine, that it's a chemical, and that it is something, a healthy chemical, a natural chemical to change your body and give medicine to healing of the body. So I
yeah.
was wondering, this field of nutrition. How did that fit in with this you're telling us? How did you get into that, and how does it fit in with your anxiety and trauma?
Well, as you stated, nutrition is it is a factor that we all can use and need. We as a student at Texas Southern, that's where I got my training. Um, I studied. My advisor was Dr. Ahmed, and the classes we talk about the basic food groups, and a lot of people don't realize that it's important to eat from the basic food groups, which is your meats, your proteins, your fruits, vegetables, and of course at the end, well, they used to use a pyramid, but they're not using that anymore. They just talk about the chart, and the last foods on there would be your sugars, your fats.
Mhm.
Those foods there are at the bottom. You can have those. You can have whatever food you want, but it has to be in moderation. For example, as a nutritionist, I don't really believe in diets. I know that medically, clinically, there are some diets that are necessary. For example, after surgery, one may be on a liquid diet.
Mhm.
However, with those of us, in generally speaking, that can eat from the basic food groups, I do recommend that. Like a lot of times, people just eat meat and bread. I've seen that in my family. They don't want anything else. Don't try to give them no kind of vegetables. However, once you learn how to prepare the foods, you would be surprised. I've done a lot of with my family. I've had meals over and invited them, and I didn't have any meat in the food. I just had all vegetables, and the food was so good they forgot about having meat in the vegetable. Having meat. They was like, "Oh, this food is so good." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell y'all. I can't just tell y'all. I have to show you. I have to show them what a meal preparation looks like, a
Mhm.
healthy meal, and we all can do that. When we shop, always look at your produce. Always try to maintain some green vegetables in your diet, and by also all means, stay hydrated. Drink water. Water is the best drink for you. I know that
Mhm.
other things are out there, but water really works. Um, and this is like I say, this is something that you can do as a lifestyle, not just as a fad, but incorporate it into your life. Your fruits, your vegetables. Look at the food chart if you can. In fact, I have a little chart here. It's provided by the Diabetes Association, but it's called
Mhm.
My Plate. I don't know if you can see it, but
Yes, yes.
plate, it lists the fruits and vegetables, and it lists the proteins and the grains that's important for us on a daily basis.
Mhm.
You can look at you can go to your website. It's called My Plate, and it's sponsored by the Diabetes Association. It doesn't mean that you're diabetic. It's just showing you some concepts of maintaining a healthy diet.
Mhm.
So
That's
when
so we taking that for grant. We take it for granted, especially in terms of how people see us when we're doing it. Like young people, children, even people who are going through changes, kind of off balance. When they're around people who actually practice healthy behaviors, they tend to kind of like start leaning toward. I learned something. Pastor Massey does a management, a self management program at his church, or he did, and I think they're getting ready to do some more. They're doing a mind, body, spirit program now, and
yes,
one of the things that's designed to teach is how to model that behavior and how to eat, in a manner to decrease stress, even. So I wanted to kind of touch base on, like some of the things that we we really keep going about what we eat, what we drink, and all that kind of stuff, and people don't pay attention to even the water. We have a guy on that talks about the pH of the water and how it mixes with the food. and how that changes the whole chemistry of your body, and why some people have stomach aches because it's not lining the stomach. So I just wish you would talk a little bit about more about that plate, a little bit, but the chemistry, what we need for stress and trauma.
Okay. Well, first of
So
all,
excited.
we have to, I would say if you are having some concerns about your health in any manner, the first thing you should do is check with your physician, your family physician, or your primary care doctor to let them know your concerns. Sometimes they will refer you to a licensed nutritionist, and she will work out a plan for you, such as what I was just showing you on my plate, is talking about choosing whole or cut up fruit over fruit juice. You know, a lot of times fruit juice, it does have a lot of sugar in there, even though it's going to say 100% fruit juice. But the cut fruit, whole fruit, fresh fruit is much a better selection. Also, canned fruit in 100% juice or water and not syrup. Because if you read your labels, that's one way. A step is to read your labels when you're shopping. If the food is high in syrup and sugar, and you want to maintain a healthy diet, you want to eliminate those things and do them only in moderation. Look, look at your portion sizes as well. Sometimes, they have all of these buffet restaurants now where you can just go and load up on whatever you want. Well, I don't recommend those if you trying to lose weight in any kind of way or trying to maintain a good diet. They do have foods there, but most of the time it's the portions. You have to be aware of your portion controls, and that would help you to maintain. Uh, Exercise is another way. A lot of times you hear the advertisement saying, "Oh, you can lose weight and you don't have to exercise," but exercise does the body good, because when you out in the open in the fresh air, you're getting your brain cells. Your brain cells are getting more oxygen when you have outside activities as opposed to uh, being sedimentary and staying inside all the time. There are
Mm-hmm.
some of us that never go out. I mean, we may just go out to put out the trash or something like that, but
Mm-hmm.
and looking at the news and seeing all the things that are happening in our environment today, it's caused a lot of what do you call it, solitude. A lot of times people don't want to, uh, because they just feel like something's going to happen to them. But again, I say with maintaining a healthy diet, looking at your proteins, your vegetables, your and drinking water and exercise on a daily basis. I think if you try that for 30 days and get back with me, let me know how you feel. I think you will see a difference in your just whole attitude.
And your whole I like that your whole, I wanted to use mindset, the way you think, or the things that you pick up to read, or your belief. And you were saying something about the type of food that you eat for anxiety, like eating more vegetables, and I've forgotten what they said about nuts and stuff when you have anxiety. But I tell you what I do. I know that when I chew on nuts, the nuts, just the chewing on the nuts help me. Okay,
Yes,
then so when I'm frustrated, it just makes me come back to the moment, you see, of doing that and relaxing. And it also takes care of the hunger needs without me going to get something, you see. And so also I realized that I have an affinity now towards stir fried cabbage.
oh yeah, that's
Okay, and that has just taking me through. I'm trying to lose weight, and boy, that is helping me. and it makes me feel good. It's good for my digest. I was like, geez, I remember I used to do this in my walk. And,
Mhm.
I used to do this years ago. But I have loved, and now I love again, stir fried cabbage with onions and green peppers and whatever. That is awesome.
So good.
So,
So good.
the doctor that works with us was saying that cabbage heals your cells, and not only that, it helps your digestive system, but it helps your anxiety. Okay, anything that's green really helps the anxiety, our response to anxiety. Let's say it that way.
Yes, our response to anxiety, yeah. Because again, it's all within yourself. Your body can heal itself, especially as you said, with the right type of nutrients and nourishment that you give yourself. However, you can do it. Don't just think about it, but be about it. In the words of Maya Angelou. So we can do these things. The cabbage soup is another thing that you can enjoy with the
Mhm.
cabbage slaw. I eat a lot of cabbage myself, and like I said, your celery, your broccoli, and try something new. Bong choy, you can try those vegetables. Don't just stick to like the greens. You can go with collard greens, mustard greens. Uh,
Mhm.
Kale is another one that that I love. I make kale salads. I eat
Mhm.
kale cooked in my greens sometimes, and it's wonderful. And looking at the snacks too, when you mention nuts, I eat a lot of nuts as well. I do love popcorn, and I make my popcorn the old-fashioned way. I have used microwave, but I still resort to the old way with the pot and the olive oil. I put olive oil on mine, and you can be creative with your popcorn. If you want to add some garlic powder to it or some herbs, you can sprinkle in there and just be creative. Those are great snacks to have on hand.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
by
they told me that in terms of that the I did not know that the bags of popcorn that we put in the microwave
yes,
has a chemical inside of the paper. So as you heat it up, the chemicals are changing the popcorn itself and making the popcorn toxic. But the level of toxins is minimal at that time. This was one, but over time, for people who use microwave popcorn, that bag itself is cancer producing, and that's
yes,
something you don't think about because you just gotten in the habit of buying them. So you're doing it the old fashioned way,
yes.
is healthier.
Yes, ma'am, and it tastes so much better because you're in control. I mean, if you don't want salt on it, you don't have to. It tastes really good without salt. It's just like I said, it's such a versatile snack that you can use to uh, be proud of yourself that you didn't indulge in eating a whole bag of cookies like I have done before. But
Yeah.
we all have our weak spots. But again, let's just get healthy and look at reading those labels when we go out. Even when we go out to dinner, when you look at the rest of the menus now, they even have the nutritional facts on the meal services that you might
Mhm.
have for the evening or the day. And I'm just so happy that nutrition have made these steps that are so beneficial for all of us.
And so you mentioned cookies. So I confess up that I have this desire. Somebody turned me on to cowboy cookies.
Cowboy cookies, I never heard
Cowboy
of
cookies from HEB. I have
it.
to freeze those cookies, put them in something and freeze them, because if I leave them out, every time I pass the table, I'm gonna have to get me a cowboy cookie. You know, my brain thinks of how good it is, but without me even thinking about it. So unconsciously, we do things that we know it's not healthy for us. So we
Yes.
have to take precautions, I'm sure, and set up parameters. So right now, mine is to get me 5 cookies that's visible, that's loose, that I can handle, and put it in a cookie jar. All the rest of the cowboy cookies must be separated and frozen because I know I can't eat it right away if it's frozen. So
Yeah.
therefore, it'll take me a while. If I take a while, then I won't eat it. So
Absolutely.
one of the strategies would be to delay, and so that was my delay would be you speaking of surviving would be to delay, which is an addiction. Okay, and it can bring on a lot of trauma when you gain a lot of weight, particularly as you get older and you can't move around as fast. So
Yeah.
that means that you're going to gain. So I'm glad that we have a nutritionist on that's truly helping us look at little simple things that we may not even pay attention
Right.
to. Um, I have a guy that I'm working with. He refuses to eat any vegetables, and he's having a lot of pain, and he doesn't see the connection between the lack of nutrients and pain.
Yes.
But I wanted Pastor Massey to kind of talk a little bit about um, the recovery program, and I wanted you to share a little something that you received from the program.
Well, basically, it's celebrate recovery, and we deal with hurts, hangups, and habits. And actually, people can have an addiction to different foods. And so in Celebrate Recovery, we actually can talk about that as well. And uh, I'm thankful that Sister Janice is talking about all the different foods that she know how to prepare. And so we're gonna have to call upon her to bring some of those treats to us uh, during the times that we can break out into those little opportunities where we eat a little food.
Yes, yes, uh-huh.
When
Mm.
you have people that's in the program that have these gifts, when there are those that have those issues and they begin to talk about them in the group sessions, she's one of the people that can actually give advice because we're not there to fix anybody, but we also, when we are able to talk and help someone in the group, because a lot of times people are looking for answers. And so you can always, a lot of times you have different programs that's set by other people, and they have different rules and guidelines that they set in order, but we don't have to stick to that. We
Right,
change
right.
the order because sometimes
Mhm.
we do need to talk about things to help somebody
Yes,
because
and
they have
how?
questions,
Mhm.
and you don't want them to just be able to talk and you can't answer their questions.
Right,
Those
yes.
that have experienced different things can actually share
Mhm.
in the groups uh, the information that they have personally to help someone that have that type of need.
So I was going to ask to share a word, Dr. Johnson, on what you would want to leave the audience with.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to make a little correction. I'm not Dr. Johnson.
Oh, okay
I'm
then.
just I'm just Janice Johnson.
Okay, well, Miss
Okay.
Janice Johnson, if you could share and give what word would you like to leave us?
Well, actually, I pulled a little poem. I hope I can read it.
Yes,
I think
yes.
I want to share it. I think it'll be helpful to everyone. It's dealing with time, and it says, New York is 3 hours ahead of California, but that doesn't make California slow. Someone graduated at the age of 22, outweighed 5 years before securing a good job. Someone became a CEO at 25 and died at 50. while another became a CEO at 50 and lived to 90 years. Someone is still single while someone else got married. Obama retired at 55 and Trump started at 70. Everyone in this world works based on their time zone. People around you might seem to be ahead of you, and some might seem to be behind you, but everyone is running their own race in their own time. Do not envy them and do not mock them. They are in their time zone and you are in yours. Life is about waiting for the right moment to act. So relax. You're not late. You're not early. You are very much on time.
I like that. I like that. I want a copy of that one. I like that. So I do want to say thanks to both of you, to Reverend Dr. Samuel Massey from Real Life Christian Church being our co-host and leader today, and Miss Janice Johnson, which I'm going to give you a call to find out where I know you from because I do know your face, and I'm sure we crossed paths, but you're just much younger. But you were in the younger group, so I'll find out about that. So I want to thank you for being here, sharing your time, your knowledge, your wisdom on today. And I'm going to say to our audience, renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect families and communities. For it's not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. Go to our website, wrc-houston.com. Sign up for our next mental health coaching class. We're getting ready to pull our team together and begin our action in the community. So please go there and sign up for the next class. Also, there are webinars. And when you see the webinar, we have a cultural competence webinar, we have the Road to Wellness webinar, and please sign up. It will be good for leaders, teachers. It's going to be a series, and you will eventually get certified to be a health leader in the community. So please go there, and the doctor will be having the webinar. The amount that's charged for the webinar, the monies are going to go to the churches and organizations in Houston, to give to those persons who are teaching it and those persons who will be implementing the program. You will be able to get a support group for each one of the webinars so you can address your personal needs and family health needs as you take the class. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you same time, same place, same station next week. Thank you, and have a good week. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.